Part 1 of the story sets the stage for the epic confrontation between humanity and the Zalric Empire, establishing the initial conditions, stakes, and tone of the narrative. The central purpose of this section is to juxtapose the galaxies' perception of humans with the reality of their preparation and capability, creating the tension that drives the story forward. At the outset, the narrative describes the galaxy's common perception of humans. Most interstellar species consider humans weak, fragile, and primitive, incapable of defending themselves effectively. This belief is crucial because it establishes the basis for the Zalric Empire's hubris. The Zalric are an expansive, militaristic civilization. Confident in their technological superiority and battlefield experience, they view Earth as a trivial target, a species that could be easily subdued, and a planet whose resources are ripe for plunder. By emphasizing the aliens' dismissive attitude, the story creates dramatic irony. The audience knows that humans are underestimated. This sets up the eventual surprise of humanity's power. The narrative then introduces the imminent arrival of the Zalric fleet, which is depicted as overwhelming in size and capability. This description serves to heighten the tension. The massive warships, equipped with weapons that could destroy planets, represent an existential threat to Earth. Admiral Vrek, the Zalric commander, is portrayed as confident, even smug, asserting that humanity's defenses are laughable. This confidence establishes him as the narrative foil to humanity. His underestimation of the humans is a critical plot element, as it paves the way for their eventual shock and defeat. In contrast, humanity is portrayed as calm, organized, and strategically prepared. This is the first hint of the horror that humans will unleash. Unlike the aliens, humans are not panicked or reactive. Instead, they operate with foresight and precision. Across the planet, governments, scientists, and engineers have secretly prepared for first contact scenarios, not as a diplomatic exercise, but as a matter of survival. Humanity's preparation includes hidden weapon caches, underground bunkers, communication grids that can function independently, and experimental spacecraft ready for deployment. The story emphasizes that humanity's strength lies not in conventional, technological parity with the Zalric, but in their ingenuity, adaptability, and strategic planning. This part also introduces the theme of hidden potential. While the galaxy sees humans as weak, in reality, Earth has been quietly preparing, developing technology and tactics that are unconventional and unpredictable. The narrative hints at humanity's resourcefulness, creativity, and strategic patience. This element is central to HFY Humans Are Special storytelling, as it emphasizes human traits, resilience, adaptability, and cunning that defy external expectations. The final beat of Part 1 is the human broadcast, a single human voice echoing across space, issues a simple warning: "You're not ready." This line is powerful in several ways. It establishes humanity's awareness and confidence, signals that the coming conflict will not be ordinary, and psychologically unsettles the aliens. It also serves as a symbolic moment. Humans do not beg for mercy, negotiate under duress, or attempt to appear weak. Instead, they assert themselves boldly, hinting at the horror that will follow when they unleash their full capabilities. This moment creates narrative tension. Readers are left anticipating how humans will turn the situation against the Zalric. Stylistically, Part 1 balances exposition and tension. The descriptions of alien hubris, human preparation, and impending conflict build suspense. The tone alternates between the ominous highlighting the Zalric's destructive potential and the reassuring, almost proud, depiction of humanity's secret readiness. This balance is critical, as it primes the audience for the narrative shift in Part 2, where humans will begin to demonstrate the extent of their strength. In summary, Part 1 establishes the key elements of the story: the Zalric Empire's overconfidence, humanity's hidden preparation, and the psychological tension between perception and reality. It introduces the main players, sets the stakes for a planetary-level conflict, and foreshadows the remarkable and horrifying capabilities that humanity will demonstrate. By the end of this section, readers understand that humans are not just another species. They are unpredictable, intelligent, and fully capable of rewriting the rules of interstellar war. Part 1 is therefore both an exposition of context and a narrative promise of the drama, and Part 2 of the story depicts the pivotal moment when humanity and the Zalric Empire collide for the first time. This section is crucial because it transforms the tension and anticipation established in Part 1 into action, revealing the stark contrast between the Zalric's expectations and the reality of human capability. It serves as the first demonstration of why humans are feared, establishing both the technological and strategic superiority that the aliens did not anticipate. The narrative begins with the arrival of the Zalric fleet in Earth's orbit. These warships are described as immense, bristling with weapons, and technologically advanced, intimidate and overwhelm the humans. This opening reinforces the stakes. Earth is facing a superior force, both in scale and firepower. The Zalric's confidence is palpable. They believe humans will be defenseless. This mirrors historical HFY storytelling tropes, where humanity is underestimated by seemingly superior civilizations. Their overconfidence sets the stage for the horror humanity will unleash. However, the story immediately subverts this expectation. Humanity's defenses, while not overtly visible or conventional, are already in place. The description of hidden orbital cannons, adaptive spacecraft, and secret silos highlights a central HFY theme. Humans are masters of preparation, cunning, and improvisation. Unlike the Zalric, whose military doctrine relies on brute force and predictable maneuvers, humans have anticipated enemy actions and developed multi-layered responses. This element emphasizes that the true threat of humanity lies not in raw numbers, but in strategic ingenuity and unpredictability. The narrative then illustrates the devastating effect of humanity's technology and tactics. Conventional weapons of the Zalric fail to inflict significant damage, while human defenses target critical vulnerabilities with surgical precision. Orbital cannons fire at optimal trajectories. Experimental spacecraft execute maneuvers beyond the capabilities of the aliens, and missiles strike with unprecedented accuracy. These descriptions serve multiple purposes. They establish humans as a technologically formidable force despite appearances, demonstrate their creativity in adapting civilian technology for warfare, and highlight the surprise factor that disorients the Zalric. On the ground, humans amplify the chaos. Automated drones, designed for rapid learning and adaptation, swarm alien forces, overwhelming them in ways the Zalric could not predict. This element demonstrates humanity's ability to leverage both technology and tactics simultaneously. The drone's adaptive behavior exemplifies the HFY motif of human ingenuity. Humans are not only reactive, but proactive, turning unfamiliar challenges into opportunities for dominance. It also reinforces the psychological aspect of warfare. Lands are not merely facing enemies. They are confronting a species capable of rapid innovation in combat situations. A critical narrative function of this part is the subversion of alien expectations. Admiral Vrek, the Zalric commander, had assumed the humans were defenseless. By showing the fleet being decimated even before their flagship fires, the story creates a sense of dramatic irony. Readers, aligned with human preparation, experience satisfaction and tension simultaneously, while the Zalric are portrayed as shocked and increasingly desperate. This moment also lays the groundwork for the theme of fear. The aliens begin to realize that humans are unpredictable and capable of destroying entire fleets using tactics no other species would consider. The narrative also introduces a psychological component to humanity's strategy. Even in the early stages of conflict, humans are not merely defending, they are sending a message. By striking decisively and demonstrating superior tactics, they instill doubt, fear, and confusion within the Zalric ranks. This reinforces the broader HFY theme that humans are not only physically formidable, but psychologically intimidating. Their approach to warfare is holistic, combining ingenuity, technological advantage, and psychological manipulation to dismantle an opponent's confidence and morale. Finally, Part 2 solidifies humanity's identity as a species whose horror is both strategic and existential. Unlike other civilizations, humans do not simply rely on overwhelming force. They exploit enemy weaknesses, anticipate enemy moves, and adapt in real time. This establishes a pattern that will continue throughout the story. Human actions are not merely reactive, but part of a grand, deliberate design to protect their world and assert dominance over an overconfident adversary. In summary, Part 2 transforms the story from exposition to action. It demonstrates that humans are far more capable than the Zalric or the galaxy at large realized. Through a combination of advanced technology, strategic foresight, and adaptive tactics, humanity turns what should have been an easy conquest into a catastrophic defeat for the aliens. The stage is now set for Part 3, where the full scale of human ingenuity, unpredictability, and terror will be revealed, leaving the Zalric scrambling to comprehend. Part 3 of the story marks the escalation of conflict, moving beyond the initial skirmishes of Part 2 to reveal the true extent of humanity's power and unpredictability. While Part 2 focused on first contact and the initial shock of human defenses, Part 3 emphasizes the terrifying combination of ingenuity, adaptability, and ruthlessness that makes humans a nightmare to the Zalric Empire. The narrative shifts from action alone to illustrating the psychological and strategic aspects of humanity's horror, solidifying why humans are feared across the galaxy. The central focus of Part 3 is that humanity's strength lies not only in advanced technology, but in how they wield it. Unlike most alien species, which rely on predictable tactics, hierarchical command structures, and brute force, humans combine intelligence, creativity, and adaptability in real time. The story shows this through battlefield examples. Humans use feints, decoys, and environmental hazards to trap and annihilate enemy forces. The Zalric quickly realize that they cannot anticipate human strategies because humans do not follow conventional patterns of engagement. This unpredictability is a defining characteristic of HFY storytelling. Humans are remarkable precisely because they defy expectations and transcend the rules other species consider fixed. A recurring motif in this part is the concept of asymmetric warfare. Humans exploit the environment, turning terrain, gravity, and even damaged or improvised machinery into lethal tools. In one scenario, the story describes humans luring enemy forces into asteroid fields and detonating experimental energy cores. These traps are not merely destructive. They are surgically precise, disabling entire fleets' navigation systems and rendering conventional alien tactics useless. This demonstrates that humanity's horror is not mindless destruction. It is calculated, intelligent, and devastatingly effective. Part 3 also highlights the psychological impact of human tactics on the UH. While aliens are capable of fear, humans elevate it to a strategic weapon. Alien soldiers witness ambushes, traps, and sudden technological devastation that seem almost supernatural. Their perception of reality is challenged. Humans appear where they shouldn't, strike when they shouldn't, and adapt faster than the aliens can comprehend. By instilling fear and confusion, humans weaken the enemy's cohesion and morale, making them easier to defeat. The story emphasizes that humans weaponize fear itself, creating a layer of horror that transcends the battlefield. Another important aspect of Part 3 is the interplay between human organization and improvisation. While humans are prepared with advanced technology and pre-planned defenses, they are also flexible enough to adapt instantaneously. This duality, planning combined with improvisation, is shown in the drones' adaptive behavior and in human soldiers' battlefield decisions. They learn from the enemy in real time, adjusting their tactics to exploit weaknesses or unexpected developments. This is contrasted with the rigid command structure of the Zalric, who are unable to react with the same speed or creativity. This contrast reinforces the HFY theme that humans' greatest weapon is their intelligence and versatility, not just their firepower. The story also touches on the broader strategic implications of human actions. By this point in the battle, Humans are no longer merely defending, they are reshaping the conflict. Entire enemy fleets are destroyed with minimal human casualties. The Zalrik begin to recognize that they underestimated humanity not only as a military threat but as a species. The narrative underscores that humans are not just resilient, they are proactive, capable of turning every disadvantage into an opportunity for dominance. Their horror is systemic and multifaceted, encompassing technology, tactics, and psychological warfare simultaneously. Part 3 builds suspense and anticipation for the story's next phase. By illustrating the effectiveness of human strategies and the aliens' growing panic, it sets the stage for a turning point in Part 4. Readers, understand that humanity is no longer simply fighting for survival. They are actively shaping the galaxy's perception of humans as a species whose capacity for destruction is unparalleled. This is a crucial step in HFY storytelling. The audience is meant to marvel at human ingenuity and adaptability, while alien characters react with fear, disbelief, and desperation. In summary, Part 3 is the narrative climax of humanity's initial display of power. It shows that humans are not merely survivors or defenders, they are a species capable of unleashing controlled, intelligent, and terrifying strategies that defy expectation. Through adaptive tactics, environmental manipulation, psychological warfare, and real-time improvisation, humanity establishes itself as an unpredictable and horrifying force. This section emphasizes the central HFY themes of ingenuity, resilience, and the terrifying potential of humans when underestimated. By the end of Part 3, the Zalrik Empire begins to grasp the gravity of their mistake. Facing humanity is not a conventional war. It is an encounter with a species whose horror is both deliberate and absolute. Part 4 of the story represents the narrative shift where the full scope of humanity's power becomes undeniable. While previous sections focused on preparation, first contact, and the initial horrors of battle, this part emphasizes the strategic mastery, precision, and psychological dominance that humans wield over the Zalrik Empire. The story transitions from humans defending their planet to humans actively dictating the terms of war, forcing the alien invaders into a reactive, defensive posture. The section begins with Admiral Vrek, the Zalrik commander, realizing the depth of the miscalculation that brought his fleet to Earth. By this stage, humanity's tactics have not only inflicted severe material losses on the Zalrik, but have also destabilized their command structure. Entire sectors of their fleet are destroyed or rendered ineffective by ingenious human interventions. These interventions include manipulating gravitational anomalies, turning damaged spacecraft into mobile traps, and coordinating multi-pronged attacks that exploit even minor weaknesses. The narrative emphasizes that human strategic vision extends beyond immediate survival. They are orchestrating a systematic dismantling of the enemy. A core theme of Part 4 is the psychological impact on the Zalrik. Unlike other species, humans do not merely fight, they project power in ways that undermine morale, sow confusion, and instill dread. The story describes the aliens receiving broadcasts of their fleets being obliterated, or of soldiers trapped in urban environments with no escape. This is more than propaganda. It's an extension of warfare itself, demonstrating the human ability to weaponize information and perception. For the Zalrik, witnessing these controlled and relentless strikes begins to erode confidence, turning fear into a tactical disadvantage. Part 4 also highlights humans' mastery of unpredictability. Every engagement reveals that humans do not operate by conventional rules of warfare. Feints, ambushes, and improvised traps continually force the Zalrik to adapt, but adaptation comes too slowly. Humans anticipate not only enemy movements but also their thought processes, predicting how the Zalrik might respond to perceived weaknesses. This reinforces a central HFY motif. Human ingenuity is not reactive, is proactive, almost prescient, allowing them to turn every engagement into a demonstration of calculated horror. The narrative emphasizes scale as well. By this point, Humans are no longer confined to localized defenses. They are projecting force across entire systems. Fleets that initially appeared small and vulnerable now control key strategic points, striking rapidly, coordinating attacks, and neutralizing threats that the Zalrik believed untouchable. Humans exploit technological and tactical asymmetries with precision, transforming apparent vulnerabilities into instruments of dominance. This demonstrates that human power is not merely physical but systemic, arising from the integration of intelligence, creativity, and resourcefulness. Another important element in this part is the Zalrik's growing desperation. As their losses mount and their strategies fail, the aliens begin to question their assumptions about humans. They realize that Earth's defenders are not simply technologically advanced, they are adaptive, intelligent, and ruthless when cornered. The story describes how panic spreads through alien ranks, how chains of command break down, and how fear begins to paralyze decision-making. By illustrating the collapse of alien morale, Part 4 emphasizes the secondary layer of humanity's horror. They are psychologically as well as physically dominant, able to exploit both battlefield conditions and enemy psychology to achieve victory. Strategically, Part 4 represents the tipping point in the conflict. Humanity is no longer reacting. They are controlling the tempo, pace, and direction of the war. Every strike, maneuver, and ambush is carefully designed to dismantle the Zalrik's advantage, while simultaneously reinforcing human supremacy. The narrative makes it clear that the aliens' underestimation of humans was catastrophic. What they believed to be a minor, manageable threat has become an existential challenge. Stylistically, the section blends action, tension, and introspection. The author conveys not only the dramatic spectacle of battle, but also the psychological weight on both sides. The reader experiences the awe-inspiring competence of humans while observing the growing fear and disarray among the Zalrik. This balance is critical to HFY storytelling, as it emphasizes human supremacy without depicting them as mere I. Part 5 of the story represents the climax and resolution of the narrative, where the full extent of humanity's strategic, technological, and psychological capabilities is revealed. It is the point at which humans move from reactive defenders to active dominators, decisively reshaping the conflict and leaving the galaxy with a permanent impression of human power. The central theme is that humanity is not merely capable of survival, but of orchestrating annihilation with precision and purpose. Embodying the horror promised in the title, the section begins with the humans transitioning from defense to offense. Up to this point, Earth's forces had been primarily focused on countering the Zalrik's attacks demonstrating adaptability, resilience, and ingenuity. Part 5 shows humanity dictating the battlefield entirely. The narrative describes humans hunting the remnants of the Zalrik fleet across multiple sectors, exploiting every weakness with surgical precision. Unlike the aliens who react to threats, humans anticipate and manipulate outcomes on a cosmic scale. This shift is crucial in HFY storytelling, as it illustrates that humanity's superiority is not limited to individual battles, but extends to entire theaters of war. The text emphasizes the terrifying creativity of human tactics. Humans employ strategies that are both lethal and psychologically overwhelming. Traps, ambushes, and environmental manipulations are combined with real-time adaptation, allowing humans to dismantle the Zalrik forces with minimal casualties of their own. Every move seems unpredictable to the aliens, as humans utilize their understanding of both technology and psychology to create conditions where the enemy is doomed before realizing the danger. This reinforces the HFY motif that humans are uniquely formidable because they combine intellect, adaptability, and ruthlessness, a combination that no other species fully anticipates or comprehends. Part 5 also highlights the alien perspective, which is critical to the narrative's emotional weight. Admiral Vrek, once supremely confident, now confronts the reality of humanity's overwhelming capabilities. The story depicts the psychological collapse of the Zalrik command structure. Fleets are decimated, communication lines are severed, and morale is shattered. The aliens realize that Earth's defenders are not merely a military adversary, They are a force that operates beyond conventional understanding, capable of turning fear and confusion into weapons as potent as any missile or energy cannon. This alien perspective reinforces the story's central HFY theme. Humans are terrifying not because they are invincible, but because they are unpredictably intelligent and ruthlessly effective. A significant narrative element in this part is the portrayal of scale. Humanity's influence is no longer limited to a single planet or battle. Entire sectors of the Zalric Empire are dismantled systematically. Humans exploit weaknesses in fleet formations, weapon systems, and strategic planning, demonstrating their ability to coordinate large-scale operations with precision. The story conveys that human warfare is not chaotic, it is highly organized, adaptive, and methodical, capable of orchestrating large-scale destruction while minimizing their own risk. This scale underscores the idea that humans are not just survivors, but architects of interstellar conflict. Part 5 also emphasizes the psychological horror humanity instills in the galaxy. Beyond physical destruction, humans broadcast images, data, and evidence of their effectiveness to the wider galaxy. Alien species learn that underestimating humans carries catastrophic consequences. The story illustrates that the horror of humanity is not merely technological, it is existential. Humans are unpredictable, intelligent, and relentless. They do not negotiate, retreat, or compromise when their survival is at stake. Their reputation now precedes them, instilling fear across star systems. The climax is reached when humanity delivers a final, decisive blow to the Zalric Empire's command structure. The narrative depicts the complete collapse of the alien fleet, leaving Earth untouched and the invaders reeling in disbelief. The humans' victory is total, yet the story emphasizes that this success is the product of foresight, strategy, and adaptability, rather than sheer brute force alone. By ending the story in this way, the narrative reinforces the central HFY message. Human strength lies not only in physical or technological power, but in intelligence, resilience, and creativity, which, when combined, become terrifyingly effective. In conclusion, Part 5 serves as both the narrative climax and the thematic resolution. Humanity's final unleashing of horror demonstrates that they are not simply a species capable of defending their world. They are a force capable of redefining the galaxy's understanding of war, strategy, and survival. The story closes with the galaxy recognizing a universal truth. Humans are unpredictable, lethal, and supremely capable of exploiting both technological and psychological advantages. Part 5 reinforces the HFY ethos, showing that when underestimated, humans can become the ultimate reckoning, a species whose horror is deliberate, methodical, and unforgettable.